let's get right into the co-main event here. We have one of the most promising prospects in the UFC right now, undefeated Sugar Sean O'Malley, taking on Marlon Vera, who may be O'Malley's toughest test yet. This is going to be an interesting bout, and I'm really excited to see this one. It is taking place at bantamweight here. We have one of the most popular guys in the UFC right now. I believe there's a lot of hype around the event because Sean O'Malley's in the co-main event. Obviously, we have the trilogy here, but there's a lot of extra eyes on it because so many people are fans of Sean O'Malley, myself included. He's got a 75% finish rate at bantamweight, which is really impressive. He's knocking guys out. He had a really impressive walk-off KO over Eddie Wineland recently. Just very impressive overall. Just looking at how they match up here, I believe Sean O'Malley has a bit of a striking advantage. He has a higher output. Look at this. Can we call somebody at the UFC, see if they can round this down to 420? Just for the lulz. But I believe he has a higher output. If he does get a finish, I mean, it's not really going to matter, but this does weigh into the judges' scorecards if there's not a lot of takedowns going on, but one guy landed twice as many strikes as the other. He's probably going to win the decision. More of his strikes are significant strikes, and he does have a little bit better defense. However, it is hard to tell. He hasn't fought anyone as good as Cheeto, and Cheeto has been in the UFC a long time, so he has a decent pool of info to tap into for that. I believe Marlon might have a slight grappling advantage, but it's really hard to tell. I don't think that O'Malley is weak in the grappling by any means, but if there's one area where Vera might be slightly better, I do think it is in the grappling, even though our stats don't really indicate that. Let's take a look at O'Malley's record here. 12-0 as a professional, hasn't seen a loss in his professional career, and has 9 finishes, I believe. I was talking about the grappling earlier, but you can see here O'Malley stays sharp on it. He has a recent decision. Went to a draw here with Gilbert Melendez, who's probably got 20 pounds on him. This was 8 minutes of grappling, 1 round in quintet. The fact that it went to a draw and a guy has that decent amount of weight on you is pretty interesting. He wasn't able to score more points. But here we go. This one's interesting. Hector Lombard, who's like a former UFC middleweight. The dude is a tank, bro. He is like pure muscle, a little on the shorter side, but like just huge. The dude is wide like a refrigerator. Lost in the first round to him. I would expect that. I wouldn't recommend. There's probably a 50-60 pound or more weight difference in this grappling bout. But he does have a win over Takanori Gomi here, who he finished by guillotine, which is pretty impressive because I believe Gomi probably has 20 pounds or so on O'Malley here. But some other impressive wins. He does have that walk-off KO here, punched the mustache off of Eddie Wineland. That was a really interesting fight. And that just happened a couple months ago. So a lot of people are excited to see our boy Sean O'Malley hop right back into it. But here's where I see maybe we have some issues with grappling. 2 losses as an amateur in 2013 for our guy Sean O'Malley. They were a month apart. Look at this. Just fighting every other week, my guy. Both of these losses are to submission. And I think if Cheeto is able to finish the fight, I don't think he's going to knock out Sean O'Malley, but there might be a chance he could catch him in a submission. However, I don't think there's going to be a ton of grappling in this fight, but it might be Vera's only chance. We'll see. O'Malley is a heavy favorite on this card. I believe he's past -300, so I don't know where the odds are going to end up for him, but it's really interesting to see how heavily he's favored here. Let's take a look at our guy Marlon Vera here. 17-6, 6 professional losses, and all of these losses are to decision. So he hasn't been finished in his professional career and has some pretty interesting fights. Some names you might recognize on his record here. Coming off a decision loss to Yadong Song, but has some pretty impressive wins before that, beating Frankie Saenz, Guido Canetti, Hernandez, Yule, Buren. There's a lot of guys on here that have great skill sets that match up against Marlon pretty well. So I've seen all of his fights. They're really interesting ones here. Beat Brad Pickett, beat Brian Kelleher by submission in the first round. Pretty impressive stuff here. I think he does have 1 draw on his record, and that was before he was in the UFC. So has never been finished, has been to decision a decent amount of times. But as a professional, I believe he has 10 wins by submission. So It might be his only shot at winning. I don't know if he wins the decision over O'Malley. I don't know if he's able to knock O'Malley out, but he might be able to get lucky with a submission, or not even luck at all. He might just be able to set something up and show a little bit better grappling skill. However, O'Malley's one of those guys that improves every time you see him. They're both young, I think 25 and 27, but I swear every time I see O'Malley, he looks so much better than his last fight, even if it's quick. He just looks more confident in there. He looks like his skills are building and they're improving always. So I really see this being one of the toughest tests for O'Malley. He's a finisher, and Vera doesn't have a history of being finished, has never been finished in his professional career. And one of the differences here is the height and reach for O'Malley. He's used to being the taller fighter. I believe he has a 3-inch height advantage going into this, but the reach is only 1.5. And Vera's one of those guys that has a decent time fighting at range. He's got good movement. He can move in and out with the striking. It's not going to be as big of a height and reach advantage in this fight for O'Malley. He's used to being a bit taller at 5'11", in the bantamweight. But in this fight, he might not experience as much of a reach advantage, but we'll see how it plays out. I'm really interested to see. I think it's really hard for me to decide on either guy. I'm pretty sure O'Malley's going to win. I think he could win by KO here. Vera's never been finished, but O'Malley has, I believe, 3 or 4 guys on his record who have lost by KO to only one guy, and it's Sean O'Malley. So he has the ability to put that first KO loss on your record. He could do that to Vera here, but I do see maybe this one going to decision. I think if it ends, it's Sean O'Malley, probably in the first round or second round, and I see maybe Vera might have the ability to pull a submission off later in the fight. I don't know if he's going to get one early. If he does, I don't see him getting one. But if I see plus 600 odds or better on a Vera submission, I might take a stab at it. However, I do believe O'Malley's going to win this fight, probably by decision. And if not, I hope he gets a KO. That would be really interesting to see. I'm not placing any bets on this, like I said, but if I do see that Vera sub prop at like plus 600 or better, I might put a small play on that. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more content. Check out my live streams on Twitch. You can see my live plays there, and we got more videos for UFC 252 coming out.